let me introduce Miguel from our next company, InEvent. Miguel, how are you?
Doing well, appreciate it. And it's actually nice to go right after Humphrey because we had a good conversation not too long ago. So I saw the advantage of the Clipper.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm sure you loved it. So I'll hand it over to you. If you guys have questions as Miguel is talking, please put them in the chat. We'll try to get to as many of them as we can when your presentation is over, and we'll take it from there.
Perfect. If you want to throw on that video first, we'll start there.
Sure.
Appreciate it. So for InEvent, right, the differentiator, what makes us different? Like you guys know, there's so many platforms, and I'm really thrilled. Thank you, Liz, for having us join the conversation today. I'm learning just as much as everyone else is, so it's really been incredible. InEvent, we have been around for years, right? But essentially, we started in the live event space. So when it came to the virtual aspect of things, everyone jumping onto Zoom and Microsoft Teams, we were already there with that virtual lobby, the virtual platform. And so now when we're doubling back and everyone's discussing the hybrid aspect of things, which Liz could actually speak to because she kindly joined our 360 event about 2.5 weeks ago, it's something that we're ready for. We're ready in play for and in position for. So for InEvent, you could throw it onto the next slide, Liz. So for InEvent, there's three things that I think kind of make us different, right? Some of it you might heard, some of you might not. One is the white labeling, the customization of the entire platform. So what we found is coming into the pandemic, everyone jumped onto virtual platforms, one-off events, one-off webinars, not really sure what to do, just trying to create content, trying to create motion. And now, a year afterwards, people are asking the right questions. People are understanding what solutions they need. Now you're looking for platforms to integrate with your stack, right? You're using Microsoft Office, you're using a certain CRM, using a certain payment processor. Now you guys have a certain platform that you guys are using with your companies, with your clients in order to do the 10-person webinar, the onboarding educational programs internally, the conference, the 3-day summit, whatever it might be. You could throw it onto the next slide, Liz. The key place that we see ourselves is in the multiple events. So the one-off event that is its own beast, of course, you're going to find platforms that are well positioned for that. But where we find InEvent to be the most successful for our clients and partners are in the multiple events. So looking at a 12, a 24, a 36-month scope of your events, whether it's the internal onboarding educational programs that you want that on-demand content to go back to that event space and have new people, new employees join the conversation, whether it is the sales conference. So for instance, us internally InEvent, we are a nice use case for this kind of thing because every single conversation, every meeting internally that we have is off the platform, whether it's 10 people, whether it's the entire company globally. So we find ourselves well positioned in the multiple event space, being able to build every event completely in itself, right? Every event stands alone. Every event could be customized front to back from the domain throughout the entire event. InEvent does not have to be seen anywhere. So as you see some of the companies that we've worked with towards the bottom, a lot of these companies have trusted us with their brand, which has been incredible. If you want to jump to the next slide. So like I mentioned, the white labeling experience is large for us, right? And as Liz can attest to, the hybrid aspect is big for us as well. So what we found in the event we held in New York, for instance, seems to be a 50 to 100 person in-person space makes it a lot more conversational, not clicky. People are having a lot better of an opportunity to ingest one another, for lack of a better term. And then online, having that virtual aspect, but bringing it into the live space and being able to network with our mobile application as well, whether it's on the video board while Liz was having a conversation, we had all the questions and the Q&A and the comments streaming live, or whether it's with an attendee in person, video chatting off their phone with someone virtually anywhere in the world. So what we find is, yes, there's a fear of the COVID, the pandemic, other aspects like that. But I genuinely think we could all attest to, if there's a commuting situation, if it's going to be raining, if it's going to be snowing, I promise you a lot of your attendees, if they get a link, might be more tuned to do that link approach. So for us, the other aspect, of course, is like everyone's mentioned, but I'm going to say it one more time, the all-in-one approach. So being able to do your event from the website landing page, through your registration process, through your email campaigns, having your sponsorships all on one place, on one platform, getting all that reporting and analytics together. You could throw it to the next slide, Liz. All right, so use cases. As I mentioned, the space that we find ourselves the best position is multiple events. So some of the spaces that we see a lot of success recently is pharma, is education, is associations, networking associations, agencies, government, and of course, technology. So those seem to be the position well positioned for us moving forward into this 2022 landscape where I think people are asking the correct questions, right? So InEvent, like I mentioned, we start in that live event space. And now that that's becoming a large play with the interact screens, with the QR data collection, with all that live event support, even from the hospitality, the flights, the shuttles, the hotels, being able to monitor all of that entire process on one platform for the live and the virtual aspect of the platform is a big space for us. So what we see ourselves kind of moving forward right now is companies using us for a year to 2 years, kind of looking at a longer approach, because the way we price ourselves, which I'm sure everyone's interested, is per registration. We don't have a per event pricing. There's no approach in that fashion. So the more registrations purchased up front, as you can imagine, a better price break. So that's why we like to let people really utilize the 12 to 24 to 36-month approach when it comes to their event space. And I think as some people mentioned prior to me, we're finding success internally a lot more than I think we did last year. I think people jumped onto Zoom and Microsoft Teams for the simplicity of it last year, especially for the internal conversations. And now the internal education, the onboarding programs, the internal webinars, the sales meetings, the procurement meetings, the marketing meetings, it's all being done in one place. And having the ability now to have the reporting on your attendees is a big piece of what we're doing at InEvent as well. So understanding that Miguel Guerrero was on the platform and what was my engagement? I entered XYZ session. I attended that session for a certain amount of time. I answered this question. I clicked this polling aspect. So being able to understand your user experience per attendee is a big piece of what we're doing too as well. So of course that helps internally, and of course that can help externally as well. I'm not sure if I have another slide here, Liz. There we go. So how we are different, right? As we mentioned. So for the long haul, that plays into the multiple events, as I mentioned, really looking at a larger scope, not the one-off conference, not the one-off summit, and the marketplace. So like all the platforms mentioned prior to me, and everyone will mention after me, we built out our marketplace. It's called the event market. So the goal for us is prospective clients, current clients, you're going to come to one ecosystem. You're going to understand, all right, InEvent's the platform I want to utilize for my event, for my 12, my 24-month scope. What agencies, what partnerships am I going to utilize for, as everyone mentioned prior, right? The AV, the live support, the building out of the platform, things of that nature. So that's a big piece of what we've created, which is called the event market. So I welcome everyone to go to inevent.com and check that out and see what that looks like for our partnership programs and our affiliates. 24/7 support. Yes, you actually have a human being, and I know Julio mentioned it earlier, but you actually have a human being responding to you, not 1 minute, but we're 2 minutes, so I'll take it. 2 minutes internationally, you get a human response on our chat feature. So that is a 24/7 aspect of the platform. And as everyone knows, there are functionalities and questions and issues, like Liz mentioned, on a Saturday at 3 a.m., and we're there to support those kinds of issues. The other aspect as well is when you onboard, you end up becoming a client of ours, we provide support calls in the beginning, a certain amount of support calls, so you guys are able to train your staff, your client, yourself on certain aspects of the back end and really walking through the platform to get familiar with it. And then, as everyone knows, video. Video is everything moving forward. We find it to be the largest aspect of the event space moving forward, and something that I welcome everyone to go to our on-demand content for our 360 event that happened about 2 weeks ago and see how we played video into that event as much as humanly possible. So yes, we have the RTMP capabilities where you could bring the StreamYards, the DACast, the Vimeo, the vMix. You can play those in here, but we also have our own proprietary streaming. We also have our own virtual booth that we're providing ourselves that we'll be rolling out very, very soon. So I hope you guys all take advantage of time and taking a look at that as well. And something I wanted to mention is tomorrow we actually have an event which we all discuss in this event space is networking. So we're actually rolling out a brand new feature, networking roulette, on our platform tomorrow. So I welcome everyone to join that as well. Liz, if you could switch, perfect. All right, so embracing hybrid. So please jump in the chats. I'm curious everyone's thoughts and opinions on this. I had an incredible experience at our event about 2 weeks ago in New York City. And again, what I found was the people that attend, you could be more selective now. That could be more of a VIP approach or selective guests. So instead of having 250 people in a ballroom, 50 people in an intimate setting with the video walls going on, we found it to be really successful, and a lot more connections happened as opposed to throwing business cards at each other and things of that nature. And I'm not sure where I stand, Liz. There she is.
I'm here. Don't worry. I won't leave you hanging. We love it. I'm seeing lots of comments. Let's see here. Tess is saying, I love InEvent. Plus, you guys are in the ATL. Oh, I did not
We
even
are, Tess. I appreciate that.
did not even know. Shannon says, love the marketing functionality. I saw a few other comments about people loving it. Francis says, love the per registration. Great approach, and how customizable the platform is. One thing that really struck me, I think, that I wanted to mention is the pricing strategy and how that works for an independent planner. Because as one myself, and I know there are a lot of us in our community, you're constantly trying to figure out, like, okay, how can we use this for our clients, and how many of our clients can we use this for? And it becomes really challenging when the pricing is, either a year license is very difficult, because how do we know how many of our clients want to use InEvent as compared to something else? Because we sure all agree that not all of our clients are going to use the same event
Absolutely.
platform. But the pricing is very straightforward. So it's just by per person that enters any event, and then it's unlimited events. Is it unlimited days for these events? How does that work?
Great question. So yes, there's no hidden fees. It's just per registration. And the nice aspect, like you mentioned, is if I have 1,000 registrations that I purchase, I have 12 months to burn those 1,000 registrations however I see fit. If I want to build out 100 events from scratch for 10 people each, I can do that. And there's no cap in sponsorships or the amount of streaming or anything like that. So it's simply per registration.
This is awesome. How do we learn more about this event that you guys are doing tomorrow?
Yes, absolutely. So I know I have a bunch of team members on the chat here. So if someone could share the free registration link, but I definitely recommend everyone checking it out, because as you know, Liz, besides me spewing about the platform, checking it out and actually seeing the workflow is always the best way to do it. So it's a new feature release tomorrow.
Okay, awesome. So we will, if I can see that in the chat, we'll put it up. If not, we'll make sure that that gets out there for everyone to see.
Appreciate it.
Let's see. If one person attends 3 of my events, is that one registration? Is it 3? I knew we are going to have this question for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say classic question. Thank you for the question. So that is the one thing. One registration, you register for that event, you're in that event. A new event, new registration. So that's kind of the way that works.
Registration, not per person.
Correct.
Makes sense,
Correct. The nice aspect too is the on-demand content, like we all love and know now, is if I am registered for that event, I can jump back into that event 12 months down the road. I can still access the content. I could still network. Even as the admin of that event, you could change it. You can manipulate it. So quote unquote, the event's over, but it's not over.
Those 365 communities becoming more and more popular.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, one more question. We only have a minute left. Can InEvent host virtual poster sessions with live Q&A? This is something I know a lot of organizations are looking at.
When you mean poster sessions, what's that mean, Liz? Explain that for me.
So I guess there's different ways of doing it, but the typical thing I think of is like a medical conference where they have like presentations related to research, and you're really trying to get deeper in on a topic. But Mia, please feel free to add any detail here. But in the meantime.
Yeah, no. So I guess the best way I can answer that off the top is you have the ability to customize every single session individually. So you can make specific sessions for that. And you could also simplify the platform. So you don't have to utilize all the tools on certain events. You could build out an event like a lot of people were using, 2 years ago, was simply just a link and it's Vimeo streaming. You could build out the platform in a very straightforward way in that fashion, if that's something that makes sense.
She says yes. So
all right, there we go.
Pretty accurate. Yeah, so medical conferences would be the one example I think of. All right, perfect. We love what you guys are doing, especially in the hybrid space and educating planners too. I love that a lot of the platforms are doing this education for planners. So we will make sure people get the link for tomorrow. And thank you for taking some time to join us today.
Thank you so much, Liz. I really appreciate it.